Have you ever looked at an old penny and wondered if you were holding something much more valuable than 1 cent? Because the coin you're looking at right now is a 1949 Lincoln wheat penny. At first glance, it may look like nothing more than an old brown penny from more than 7 decades ago. But here's where things get interesting. A 1949 wheat penny can be worth only a small amount in ordinary circulated condition. And yet, exceptionally preserved examples can sell for dramatically more. So before you throw a 1949 wheat penny into a jar, spend it at a store, or dismiss it as just another old coin, there are several things you need to check, and one of those details could completely change the value of your coin. Stay with me until the end, because we're going to examine the date, mint mark, condition, color, possible varieties, and the kinds of prices collectors may actually pay for exceptional 1949 wheat pennies. And if you have an old wheat penny sitting somewhere at home, make sure you check it after this video. Let's begin. The coin we're examining is the 1949 Lincoln wheat cent. On the front, you'll see the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln facing right. Above his head are the words, "In God we trust." To the left is liberty, and on the right is the date, 1949. Flip the coin over, and you'll see the famous wheat reverse. 2 wheat ears surround the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. This classic design was created by Victor David Brenner and was used on Lincoln wheat cents from 1909 through 1958. By 1949, the United States was already several years past World War II. The wartime years had produced some of the most famous Lincoln cent varieties in American history, including the 1943 steel cents. But the 1949 penny returned to the traditional copper-based composition. A standard 1949 Lincoln cent weighs about 3.11 grams and was made from approximately 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. Now let's talk about something extremely important: the mint mark. Look directly below the date on the front of the coin. Do you see a small letter? If there is no mint mark, that generally indicates the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. If you see a small D, it was produced at the Denver Mint. And if you see an S, it came from the San Francisco Mint. In 1949, Philadelphia produced about 217.8 million Lincoln wheat cents. Denver produced about 153.1 million. And San Francisco produced about 64.3 million. So the 1949 S had the lowest mintage of the 3 regular issues. But that doesn't automatically make every 1949 S extremely valuable. This is one of the biggest mistakes new coin collectors make. A lower mintage doesn't always mean a coin is worth thousands of dollars. Condition matters a lot. Now look at the coin in the picture. The example we're examining appears to have no visible mint mark. That would make it a possible 1949 Philadelphia wheat penny. But there's something important to understand. A photograph alone cannot determine the exact grade or final market value of a coin. We would need to examine both sides of the coin closely. Look for scratches, wear, discoloration, damage, and possible varieties. And ideally, compare it with professional grading standards. And that's where the story gets much more interesting. Imagine finding an old 1949 penny in a box of coins. It's dark. It's worn. The wheat lines are weak. Lincoln's hair details are mostly gone. That kind of coin usually isn't a life-changing treasure. But now, imagine finding another 1949 penny that has been protected for decades. The original surface is still present. Lincoln's hair details are sharp. The lettering is strong. The wheat ears on the reverse are clearly defined. There are very few marks, and the coin still has attractive original red color. Suddenly, you're dealing with a completely different category of coin. This is called a condition rarity, and condition rarities are one of the most fascinating parts of coin collecting. A coin doesn't necessarily have to be rare, because only a few were originally produced. Sometimes millions were made, but almost all surviving examples were heavily circulated. That means finding one in an exceptionally high grade can be much harder than you might expect. That's exactly why collectors pay close attention to the condition of old wheat pennies. For example, current price guides show ordinary 1949 Philadelphia cents at relatively modest prices in circulated grades, while exceptionally high-grade examples can reach much higher levels. One market guide lists values ranging from cents in lower grades to hundreds or more for very high grades, depending on the exact example and market. But there's another detail that can make a huge difference: the color. When collectors describe copper coins, you'll often hear terms such as brown, and red. A brown coin has lost much of its original bright copper appearance. A red-brown coin retains some of that original color, and a red coin has retained a significant amount of its original red coloration. For old copper coins, original red color can be especially desirable in high grades. That's why two coins from the exact same year and mint can have dramatically different values. One might be worth only a small amount. Another, in exceptional condition and with strong original color, could be worth hundreds, or potentially much more. Now here's something that should get every wheat penny collector's attention. There are documented auction results for exceptionally high-grade 1949 Lincoln cents. One 1949 Lincoln cent graded MS-67 red reportedly sold for $12,075 in an earlier auction. A 1949D graded MS-67 plus red reportedly sold for $5,760, and a 1949S graded MS-67 plus red reportedly sold for $3,500. These are not normal prices for ordinary circulated 1949 pennies. These are examples of exceptionally high-grade coins. That's a critical distinction. You should never assume that an ordinary 1949 penny is automatically worth thousands of dollars simply because a high-grade example achieved a major auction price. So what should you actually look for? Let's go through the checklist. First, the date. Make sure the date really says 1949. Old coins can sometimes have worn or damaged numbers that are difficult to read. Second, the mint mark. Check the area beneath the date. No mint mark? That points toward Philadelphia. A D? Denver. An S? San Francisco. Third, condition. Look at Lincoln's hair. Are the individual details still sharp? Look at the cheek and jaw. Are there many scratches? Look at the fields around Lincoln. Are they smooth or covered with marks? Then flip the coin over. Examine the wheat ears. Can you clearly see the individual lines? Are the words 1 cent and United States of America sharply defined? Does the coin have heavy wear, or does it look almost untouched? Every one of these details matters. Fourth, color. If your 1949 penny has attractive original red coloration, don't ignore it. But be careful. A coin that has been artificially cleaned, polished, or chemically altered should not be confused with a naturally preserved original coin. And that brings us to one of the most important warnings for new collectors. Do not clean your old coin just because it looks dirty. You might think you're making the penny look better, but cleaning can damage the original surface and reduce its desirability to collectors. If you find an old wheat penny, especially one that looks unusually well preserved, it's usually better to leave the surface alone and handle it carefully. Now there's another question. Could the 1949 penny in this video be worth thousands? The honest answer is, it depends. If we're talking about an ordinary circulated 1949 penny, probably not. Many regular 1949 cents are relatively common and have modest collector values. But if you discover an exceptionally preserved example with strong original surfaces, excellent details, attractive color, or a significant variety or error, the situation can change. And that's exactly why collectors examine old coins so carefully. The value isn't hiding in the number 1949 alone. It's hiding in the combination of date, mint, condition, color, variety, and authenticity. Think about it. A coin that originally had a face value of just 1 cent has survived since 1949. It may have passed through countless hands. It may have been stored in a drawer. It may have spent decades in a collection. It may have been forgotten in an old jar, and after more than 70 years, it could still be sitting somewhere today. That's what makes wheat pennies so fascinating. They aren't just pieces of metal, they're pieces of American history. And sometimes, the smallest objects can have the biggest stories. So if you have a 1949 wheat penny, don't immediately assume it's a fortune. But don't automatically throw it away either. Take a closer look. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Check both sides. Look at the details. Look at the color. Look for unusual doubling or other possible varieties. And most importantly, compare your coin with reliable coin price guides and, when appropriate, seek an opinion from a qualified coin dealer or professional grading service. Because when it comes to rare coins, the difference between an ordinary example and an exceptional one can be enormous. And remember, online price guides and past auction results are not guarantees of what your individual coin will sell for. The actual price depends on the exact coin, its grade, its appearance, buyer demand, and the marketplace. So the next time you see an old wheat penny, don't just see 1 cent. Look closer, because somewhere in a collection, an old jar, a forgotten drawer, or a box of inherited coins, there may be a wheat penny that deserves a second look, and that is the real secret of old coins. Sometimes the treasure isn't obvious. Sometimes you have to know exactly what you're looking at. If you enjoyed this coin discovery, make sure to subscribe for more rare coin stories, valuable wheat pennies, unusual mint errors, and hidden treasures that could be sitting in ordinary collections. And tell us in the comments, what is the oldest wheat penny you've ever found? You might be surprised by what other collectors have discovered. Until next time, keep checking those coins, because the next interesting discovery could be hiding right in your pocket.